Hello, this is David Coreen with Davron Staffing. I'm a senior matchmaker, and joining me today is our senior recruiter, Cody Burdick, along with our newest member of the recruiting staff, Paula Gomolla, and we are going to be doing a search, a Boolean search on Monster for one of our clients in Toledo, Ohio for a senior engineer. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing well.
Excellent. So, as is often happens, clients come to us and say, we are looking for a senior engineer that has worked in our industry, and we expect them to basically be responsible for the following duties. However, the actual job description itself really doesn't get very detailed and doesn't give us the exact kind of tools, the exact kind of background that this person is expected to have. So some of the things that you see on here came from our client. So some of it is, well, obviously a zip code where they're located. We also know our client came to us, said that they're looking for a senior engineer that's responsible for customer deliverables. They also want the senior engineer to be able to coordinate amongst the engineering, manufacturing, and the installation department. But I think a little bit of digging on your end, Cody, revealed some of the programs that your client is looking for. Is that right?
Yeah.
So is that how you came up with Job Scope, AutoCAD, and SolidWorks?
Yep.
In your estimation, Cody, how important are those? Or if we find them an engineer that has the kind of background of what that company does, but they may not have Job Scope or they may not have AutoCAD, do you think that's somebody your client would look at as well?
I believe they would look at someone with SolidWorks. As far as AutoCAD and Job Scope, I think those are a plus, but not a necessary. Um, I know that from a conversation I had with my client that they would be willing to teach someone Job Scope if they have the right background.
So we know that JobScope is an ERP program specifically developed for the manufacturing industry. And I think the more flexible that our clients are, the more flexible your client is, the greater variety of candidates that we'll be able to offer up and to give to them. But if your client is telling you, hey, gotta have job scope or don't even bother sending it to us, which is not the case here, obviously, let's see if we can find them somebody. We'll do some baseline searches and use this as a lesson to see what all is out there. Now, again, purpose of this is executing Boolean searches very specifically on Monster's database. You must be subscribed to Monster in order to access the candidate database. And the scope here is not so much to identify the exact right candidate, but generally show the people watching exactly how Booleans work and how to put it together. We do know that the company is a robotics and material handling company. They're a service provider. And so ideally, they want somebody to have that kind of a background and experience. We know that they prefer to have somebody who has an engineering degree, a bachelor's. Do you know specifically what kind of engineering degree that they want the candidate to have, Cody?
They mentioned to me that they would like to see someone with a mechanical engineering degree, but I don't think they'd be opposed to seeing people with electrical engineering degrees or controls engineering degrees as well.
Exactly. And with some of the newer degrees coming out, such as in robotics, it sounds to me like they're fairly open as well. So we do know that they specifically have a relationship with a major robotics manufacturer, but we also know that they're open to looking at others. So we basically picked some of the top ones here. Those that recruit in the robotics controls industry would definitely be familiar with either Allen Bradley, Siemens, KUKA. They may be Booleanable search terms, just things that we feel may help us. The company obviously being in the robotics fields, we know that they're involved in materials handling. Also conveyor systems. So you have a conveyor belt and these robots in our never-ending pursuit to replace human beings drop pallets on top of these conveyor belts. So this is a company that obviously focuses on pallets, palletizing, conveyor systems, and the like. And I sum it up as us looking for an engineer that can do all that and make sure that it gets out to the customer when we see something like customer deliverables. Sound about right to you, Cody?
Yeah, definitely.
What do you think, Paula? You ready to get started on this search?
Let's do it.
All right, we're going to give it a shot because Paula said let's do it. So, again, some basic thoughts here. How do you slice and dice Monster? There's, let's see here, many ways, I believe. I hope I already logged into it.
Looks like
Those that watch some of our broadcasts know that I'm not the biggest fan of Monster's Power Resume Search. I don't think it's really primetime ready. I do think it's pretty good, though, however, for beginning recruiters. And you do not need to know Boolean search techniques or Boolean operators in order to use Power Resume Search. However, I think the most skilled headhunters are also very skilled with Boolean searching. Also, they're skilled at getting into the head of the job seeker, the resume writer. Not everybody writes their resumes the same way, and a skilled headhunter knows that. So you'll notice that Monster gives you an option here to look at resumes posted from today to anybody that's posted today from the past couple of days, past week. You see me immediately go to all resumes. I really don't want Monster to tell me that that's the end of that at 6 months or 3 months, because my best candidate may be the guy that posted 7 months ago or 9 months ago or maybe even 2 years ago. If they have the skill, if they have the keywords that I'm looking for in their background, then I want to see it. And I'll decide when I want to cut it off. So one of the first things that we know is our client is located in Toledo, Ohio. The zip code here is 43460. So I know ideally our client is looking for somebody that's somewhat local, right, Cody?
yes, they would like someone.
But we also know that they're willing to relocate somebody, right?
Yes, they are willing to relocate, but they would prefer somebody that could be local and won't have to take the expenditure to relocate.
Well, we know that Toledo, Ohio is a manufacturing hub in our beautiful country. I hope everybody can see. As I'm zooming out over here, we are not too terribly far away from either Cleveland or Detroit. It's a big manufacturing hub. I'm going to give it a shot here and hope that we find somebody that doesn't have to relocate all that far. Cody, we are in Land O'Lakes, Florida, are we not?
Yes, we are. Beautiful Land O'Lakes, Florida.
And you want to move to Toledo, Ohio, right?
No, I do not.
I see. So it would be difficult to get somebody to move from either Florida, California, or anywhere north of 100, 200 miles, rather south, so especially south. So why don't we look for somebody that's pretty close? Generally, I tend to recommend to the recruiters focus on 20, 30 miles at most. So now that we have those parameters set, well, it is a Boolean session, so what in the world are we going to do here? Boolean thought number one. Let's get some baselines established here. Well, what do we know? We know a few different things. One of the things that your client was saying is that he wants somebody who has experience with job scope.
Yep.
So again, job scope by itself, we know, and we've looked this up prior to viewers joining us, is one word. But we also know in human nature that, we're going to see people are going to write it as 2 words, although I could see it returning some false positives there, like, well, I guess the scope of my job is different than the job scope was, but I can see how it could be a false positive there. I'm just curious, how many people have this software program to begin with? Does anybody even have this software program? Before I start putting together a big old Boolean together, does anybody have this software within 30 miles of these guys?
I haven't found many.
400 megabit speed at its finest. No,
Yeah.
one. We found one guy, and it's Joe. He's an operations manager. I'm going to guess probably not an engineer. You never know. Maybe he was an engineer before graduating and such. Well, just probably not the right kind of guy. He's deploying enterprise software. He's just really an operations person. He is not the engineer that we're looking for. Okay? Well, we know nobody within 30 miles has job scopes. There's really no sense in building upon Boolean further and further by saying something like job scope and SolidWorks and AutoCAD. And you'll see me put that up there in a minute. But we got one guy. I'm curious, is this even a popular software? We're in a manufacturing hub of the
their
country.
website claims they're a popular software, but
Every website claims that they're the best. Well, why don't we give a shot here? We're in the manufacturing hub of the country. We're 200 miles outside of your client, and we're looking for everybody that has the word job scope, at least on Monster. Okay, well, there's a few of them here. It's not that bad. I see some of these are project coordinators. For those that are new to Monster, you'll see that you can look at their most recent title, and it may help us get a little bit closer. So let's pretend we're looking for anybody who has their most recent title as engineer. But the negative on it is you will see that over here, this person did not fill out their title. This person. This person calls themselves a project coordinator. This person will be the first one I imagine that comes up because they have a title as an engineer. However, unfortunately, you're also going to eliminate a lot of people. So it's a low-hanging fruit idea. We are looking for people that have the most recent title of engineer, as you can see up here, and job scope has to appear somewhere in their resume. There are 3 of those guys. What do you think of that, Cody? Sound good?
Not happy.
I should open it up. The client already told you that they're willing to train somebody up on job scope. What you really can't train is somebody to have robotics experience, material handling, conveyor belt, and the like. Maybe we might get lucky. Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, you never know. Project design. You got a whole bunch of stuff over here. But,
yeah, it looks to be more on the design side than
the guy that you were looking
leader.
for.
Yeah.
Okay. But we do see over here that they are an engineer, obviously, in their most current title, and they have job scope. Now, quick little Boolean thought for you. If I put job scope and engineer here, but I get rid of it in the most recent title, Paula, you are our newest recruiter. Will I have more than 3 resumes or less than 3 resumes by moving it from most recent title to the main search bar?
More.
Exactly. Matter of fact, 17 more. So you see it opens it up quite a bit. Here's Mr. Kurtz again. I wonder if he's related to Colonel Kurtz from Apocalypse Now. Do you remember that? Marlon Brando? Yeah. I see Paula laughing. You're too young to remember that. You've never seen it. You're missing out. All right. Well, maybe Carl Kurtz is actually Colonel Kurtz's son. And now a design engineer in Grahowski Manufacturing. I don't know.
Project manager, maybe?
If I were Amanda, I probably would put unemployed as her most recent title, even though I understand why she did that. And so you can see here, maybe their most recent title is not engineer, but I assure you that both the word engineer and job scope do come up somewhere in Keith Doan's resume. I'm not quite sure what I just did that. Probably fat fingered that, huh? There we go. It is somewhere in there. He's a design engineer over here.
Mechanical designer, technical designer, design engineer.
And he's using job scope over here. We know Pro E or Pro Engineer is another design software program. However, your client ideally is looking for somebody that has experience with both SolidWorks and AutoCAD. So why don't we stop messing around over here, Cody, and put some more Boolean thoughts together? Although I feel like we're on Boolean thought 7 or 8 by now, not number 2. Let's go number 2. We know that job scope may or may not be the way to go for us, but we do know that it would be nice for somebody to have a background in SolidWorks and
Robotics.
Of course. So, our newest recruit here, I'm going to put you on the spot. If I put robotic with an asterisk on the end, the operator over here, the wildcard operator, Give me some ideas, Paula. What will it return for us? Will I get robotic? What else will I get?
You'll get plural, robotics.
And
How
pretty
else can you say robotics?
robotically.
Robotic.
I'm acting robotically right now. I don't know. But pretty much the point is that anything that comes, exactly, anything that comes up after the C. We know that robotic controls or robotics, we know that those generally appear. So the way that you capture that with Boolean operators is by putting the asterisk there. Now, this is something that is just as easy, but a little bit more advanced. That's why I'm going to turn over to you, Cody. We know that our client is looking for, or maybe they would like somebody with AutoCAD.
Yes.
Okay. But we also know that AutoCAD can look like this, and we know AutoCAD can have a space in it, and sometimes we see just CAD. Sometimes we see CAD with two Ds. So if I put a star CAD star like that, what will that do?
You'll get all those. You'll even get cadence.
Well, you will. That's exactly right. So you had that off. If you want to capture AutoCAD or CAD with two Ds or space, writing the operator, the star wildcard asterisk operator works the same way in the front as it does in the back. So at this point, we're going to capture SolidWorks. We're going to capture robotic. By the way, people do write SolidWorks as two separate words, but for this exercise, we won't get that incredibly granular. And we've got CAD. What else? What kind of other things can we put in here to try to get our client? We know that they're a material handling company, and it's part of their jobs. We know they work in conveyors, they work in palletizing systems. Some of the robot manufacturers, brand names are up on here. So far, this is what we got. What else? What else can we get in there? We know that they're looking for an engineer. So far, this could just be a designer. It could just be a guy working at that factory.
We could try putting material handling, conveyor, and pallet all on an OR string, added onto the current Boolean.
So this is a little bit more of an advanced thought, and I think that my colleague here, Cody, is exactly right. And so in parentheses, one of your thoughts was that it was material handling. Now we do know, by the way, that if I were to write materials handling, and we do see that pretty regularly, and I put it in like that, it will work. By putting something in quotes, and this is basically Boolean 101 here, it'll return material handling to you, but it also is smart enough to know to look for the operator here being material or materials, plural. The glitch we found within Monster is when you use an asterisk within quotes, although it does return the right results, what it does not do is it doesn't highlight them. So I would like it highlighted just for the purposes of this lesson and return that in. So Cody was saying, or moving further, conveyor, correct?
Yes, conveyor, pallet. I would do pallet star in case they put palletizer.
So we know that they are conveyor systems, conveyance, and so on. Do you think that we can just use convey with an asterisk over here and cut it off and pretty much let the rest of it fall as it may? Or I believe the last thought you had was pallet. Is that correct? Okay, so pallet with a star. Why?
In case it's palletizer.
Exactly. Palletizing technology, pallets.
Yes.
Right. So as a brief review, this will return the following. They have to have SolidWorks in their resume, don't they, Paula?
Yes.
They have to have robotic, and then anything that comes after it, some iteration of that. Is that right, Cody?
Yes.
Pretty much every iteration of AutoCAD right here. And what is happening here, though? You got parentheses, you got quotes, you got ors. What am I doing over here? Paul, explain this to me. What will this bring back?
Well, what's in parentheses is one thought, So it could come up with material handling or convey or pallet. So any of those,
But
all of them.
it could have all of them,
It
one of
could.
them, some of them,
Right.
but it must have, as we noted earlier, SolidWorks, something about robots, something about CAD. All right, well, that seems like a pretty good Boolean right here. We know job scope isn't very popular, so we kind of deleted it. I'm not even sure that AutoCAD, we could probably merge AutoCAD and SolidWorks together, kind of make it another parentheses here. Maybe that's Boolean number 3, make it SolidWorks or CAD. But I think SolidWorks was kind of important, so I'd probably drop that before I start moving forward. Let's see what we get. Well, we got a lot of people here, but I'm going to modify the search because we're kind of far away. If I recall correctly, we're 200 miles. All right, let's bring it into tighter. How about we go 30 miles?
Sounds good.
And we see how we do. Eight people is certainly a very manageable, reasonable result to get. But we also know that they're not all engineers. So you've got, here's one that's a designer. This guy's the owner. Another designer, and more designers with a couple of engineers. Somebody should tell Lee Kwan that he's not being confidential. Again, the purpose of this exercise is to wrap your mind around basic Boolean strings. It is not to identify the right person for our client, although I imagine we're not that far away, and also to show to our audience why these are coming up the way that they are. So one of the examples that we had was StarCAD star. And in this case, we said some people spell AutoCAD with a space, but this person chose to do it with a hyphen. James B. Hill. And that's why that came up. Here's AutoCAD again. Here's the SolidWorks right here. SolidWorks. Talked about conveyor systems. Here's conveyors. More CAD. There's the robotic with the S. And you see why these are coming up the way that they are. A few more clicks of some other people. That was the first guy named Hill also. James Hill Jr. What? Is everybody just, it's the same guy, huh? I thought everybody in that neck of the woods was just named James Hill. They're all interrelated.
Yeah, same
well, they're
guy.
not. Well, wait a minute. One guy's an engineer, and the other guy calls himself a designer. It's like two different people. Oh, what is happening over here, Mr. Hill? Mechanical engineer. Oh, it is the same, huh? All right. Well, there he is. Well, we viewed them both as Mr. Hills, whether one and the same or not. We know that this person is a designer. We know that our client is looking for an engineer. And we also know that they want them to ideally have a bachelor's. Bachelor's in electrical engineering, as Cody noted. Bachelor's in mechanical engineering. So in this particular case, McGilvery, Mark, although he does seem to hit on...
He's got some good keywords coming back, yeah.
That's right. He does hit on the right keywords, but he's really not an engineer. He's really not the person that we're looking for overall. So we're kind of coming up to the end of the line here as far as the number of people that are available. We're capturing all of the, different skill sets here. Within Monster, there is a category that allows you to actually seek people that have when you click on bachelor's degree, it'll find you everybody has a bachelor's, master's, doctorates, and so on. So that's the absolute minimum. I'm not the biggest fan, however, of using that. And the reason I'm not the biggest fan of it is the data is only as good as whatever the candidate filled out. So if the person putting their resume on Monster didn't write that they had a degree, they will never be found. Lee Kwan, the confidential dude, is back again. This guy calls himself a designer. Usually, designers are not on the engineering level. I'm curious, or degreed level. I'm curious why this person came in. Education.
Degree in engineering technology.
Engineering technology. Excuse me.
Graduate with it though.
Graduated with it. Not that. No, excuse me. Didn't quite get the date right, but either way, not the best laid out resume. But part of our job is, in addition to identifying the right candidates in our outplacement service, we help, especially engineering candidates, write resumes that will help you be found in these search sessions. Remember, most of the way that you are going to be found is by recruiters just like us, and many times internal HR recruiting departments, but they're not going to go through this kind of an analysis in your resume. So it's very important that you are able to optimize your resume by keywords. We are experts at it. For as little as about $100, we can help rewrite your resume. Also give you access to our database, which will give you pretty much every company in the United States and every decision maker behind that company. So you could actually surf just like we do. It's a good deal. Give us a call. We'd be happy to help you with that. What do you think? Leak one. CAD background, industrial engineering, PhD. He's very smart. Much smarter than I will ever be.
Might be a good
Mechanical engineering, maybe he's a consideration. Seems like he hits on all the right keywords here. Again, the purpose of this exercise is not to specifically drill down and identify the right person. I feel like, again, we are pretty darn close. Purpose here is to show our audience how Boolean operators work. By the way, if you are an HR director, an HR manager, and just need a little bit of help, we're available on a consulting basis as well. Please give us a call. We would be happy to analyze your positions and help you identify the right people, give you a Boolean and set you free. Here, and again, I'm not using Allen Bradley, but we know that certain robotics manufacturers, we know that they are going to come up. I'm not sure how much further. We're going to keep extrapolating on this Boolean. But further and further, you will see a buildup of these Booleans that essentially will start incorporating some of the manufacturers, HMI, human machine interface, PLC, programmable logic controls. Those are all things that anybody in this industry knows and is very familiar with. I'm going to modify the search, kind of hit a reset button over here for us and see if we can find Boolean search number 3. So I feel like at this point, we've captured some of the thoughts on robotics, captured some of the design tools. What else can we do? Any other thoughts?
By using the Allen Bradley and Siemens.
That's exactly right.
Do we want to eliminate the designers? So say, and not design?
Oh boy.
Could, but it might eliminate a lot of other people as well.
So it's a great question. And I just want to kind of back up over here because our newest recruiter, Paula, made a really good point. Operator that she's referring to, and if you did not hear her, is the and not operator. And her thought was that we were getting a lot of designers. So maybe her thought might have been something like this: and not designer, right? Oh, is that how you spell designer, Cody?
No.
I don't think so. Or you could even go like and not design with an asterisk, right? The problem is this: many engineers themselves are involved in design. So imagine you have an engineer, an engineering manager that has been integral, responsible for dealing with designers or responsible for product design. So if we write and not design or and not designer, but an engineer's duty was managing mechanical designers or SolidWorks designers, it would unfortunately eliminate him. we are very careful in how we use the and not operator. It's a very powerful operator. I think it's a very good one, Paul. I think it's a great question. Oftentimes, I'll use the and not operator if I am getting too many false positives. Oddly enough, when we do secret clearance searches, and we are looking for specifically people that are cleared, we know that the way that in that industry, foreign candidates often write their resumes still till date. So nobody says if you're working somewhere to present. Although we find that many of the ways that foreign candidates write their resume is rather than writing July of 2015 to present, they will write July of 2015 till date. So oftentimes we can say and not till date, and here's how it kind of looks. Looks like this. It's not a very common way. That's one way that we can actually eliminate people that may return us some positives. One real live example there. Not the most common way of writing it.
I have a question for you, David.
Bring it.
When you're using the and not string, can you add an or string at the end, which will eliminate anything either or in the or string?
Yes, you can. So in other words, the question here is and not, and let's say, you would say design or CAD or Cody. So if I put this very much the same way, and I'll just kind of joke around over here, put it right here. We're not getting anybody who's got design or CAD or Cody, but considering we're looking for somebody who's got CAD and it cancels out CAD, I'm not quite sure that that's a very good Boolean string.
No.
You see, but the answer to your question, Cody, is yes. You absolutely use it. It's very much the same kind of operator, and they can all be used in conjunction with each other.
Can you put and not design in the title field?
I believe you can put Booleans in the design field. Yeah.
I believe you
Or the title
can.
field.
I think the answer to that is yes. I'll let you practice that up on your own, but I believe that, and this is a monster thing here, so I would imagine that they probably didn't eliminate it there. Never know, but it's certainly worth trying on your end. So I know that one of the things that Cody had as an idea is why don't we try to put in some manufacturers of these actual robots. So, and we know that Alan Bradley is spaced. Now, tell me this. Why would I not write Alan Bradley just without the quotes? Why am I putting these in quotes in here, Cody?
Because you want to get Alan Bradley together, not separate. You want them to both be.
Exactly. In other words,
Alan Bradley, not Alan somewhere,
at the top of the resume,
Exactly.
and then Bradley at the bottom of the resume, correct?
Yep. Now, I think that you should get rid of robotic because these already imply robotic, and we're already going to get the same results we already had with the existing Boolean, just some new, eliminating some people who don't have KUKA, Alan Bradley, or Siemens.
I completely agree with you, Cody. And just to illustrate his point, and Cody's exactly right, I'm going to run this Boolean with robotic first, but then I'm going to take his advice. I think it's good advice. And get rid of robotic. We're going to get more resumes instead of less resumes. And it is very redundant. I completely agree with Cody. If they have KUKA experience, if they have Alan Bradley, well, they're robots. So maybe that'll help. Or maybe it won't because, I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll have to find out. That's what all the fun is. Now, there are manufacturers other than as Kawasaki and the like. So I think the more enterprising headhunters we'll go in and see who are the competitors. Now, in this particular case, and putting in the word robotic, we got one within 30 miles. It's not a very large result, but I am curious if Cody's theory holds true.
Don't delete the A.
Don't delete the and, huh? That's what Cody says. I agree with him. I got rid of robotic. If you want to see what the exact string looks like in its entirety, it's right over here. This is what I'm using. SolidWorks and CAD, one of these combinations, and one of these combinations. Yeah, still within 30 miles. Yeah,
Oh,
threw in one more.
somebody we haven't seen though.
Bryce. No, we have not. Akron alumni.
Curious.
Applied science, mechanical engineering technology.
Powder coating. Not exactly the fit. Not at all.
Not quite who your client is looking for, but that is something that I'll let Cody decide on his own accord. Again, the
Could be a
purpose of
good
this.
fit for another client of mine though.
Certainly can. And a good headhunter, again, it's not just a Boolean lesson, but an overall headhunting lesson. Expand your search out. If you feel like it's a pretty decent search over here, and I don't know, 50 miles is or isn't commutable. I live about 2 miles away from my office, and I know Paula and Cody live a few miles down the road as well, so we're pretty lucky. But you go out a little bit further, you obviously get a lot more people here. Here's a design release engineer from Ford Motor Company, another engineer who's currently unnamed. Not quite sure what that means. Senior manufacturing engineer, currently unnamed.
The company, perhaps.
Not sure.
Huh.
Jeffrey Besse. Bess. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, again, we're not going to dissect Mr. Bess's resume. That is unnamed or named, whatever that means, but we see why it's coming up. Let's give it a couple more thoughts here, and then we're going to wrap this session up. So I think that one of the more important things to do is to be able to do research on your own and expand further from what you're including in the Booleans. One of the things that you heard us say briefly is that KUKA, Allen Bradley, Siemens are all manufacturers. You also heard me say name Kawasaki. Well, it's true. But if I were to simply write down Allen Bradley editors.
Oh. Siemens. First one, right?
Where do you see that?
Nope. I was just guessing.
I see.
Oh, no, there. That's who makes.
Rockwell Automation, Allen Bradley, but Rockwell is a great thing to put in there because somebody didn't put Allen Bradley. Somebody put Rockwell.
It's true. Editor.
I'm not sure if it's the right place for us to start looking at competitors for Allen Bradley, but obviously I think that anybody that is a good skilled headhunter, they're going to take the time to start putting in other competitors. They're going to start looking at ways of being able to expand their Boolean. One thing we know for sure is that factory automation. So, Epson, a nuke, we know for sure
Yes.
is an absolute competitor. So the evolution of the Boolean kind of goes like this. Rockwell, I also know that. It's in resumes all the time. Instead of Allen Bradley, just like that, AB.
You mentioned Epson too?
I did. Not to be confused with Epsom's salts, right, Cody?
Yes.
That is not a robotic manufacturer, but it'll relax you up at the end of the night. Mobile industrial robots, so on and so forth. I think you could also Google who will replace humanity in the near coming future.
Lizards.
iRobot. That's the Roomba, is it not?
Yeah.
I love it. And I know ABB is an absolute competitor as well.
Yeah.
So by adding all of these in here, and again, we know that our client themselves, automation company, deals in robotics. Maybe they may specifically deal in one of the top three. By expanding it, and we know that they don't have to only have experience, say with Allen Bradley, where maybe they are open to other companies that are in that same business, we should be able to open up more people for us, or Siemens, or Fanuc. Notice that I don't have quotes around, for instance, ABB or Epson. I do have quotes here. Why? Why do I have quotes around Allen Bradley, but not around Siemens? Anybody?
Does the hyphen serve as a space?
It's a great question, and we're not 100% sure. In some formats, the answer is it does serve as a space. In other places, it'll view it as yet another letter. So in order to be safe, that's why I put the quotes around that one. So the answer is it's really not needed, is it? It's not needed around ABB. It's all one word, or all letters connected to each other. Same here, same with Rockwell.
What would you think about separating Rockwell, or adding it in quotes, separated?
I think it's a great question, Cody, because when you get into the head of other resume writers, well, we know that Rockwell is one word, but can I see somebody writing it as Rock Space Well? Of course I can. You go out through the entire country, somebody will be a Rockwell expert and they'll have it spelled as Rock Space Well. We know that superintendents absolutely misspell regularly the title of what they do, estimators as well. SolidWorks is spelled with oftentimes space.
I've seen it with a hyphen.
Well, then in that case, we better finish off the Boolean. Because otherwise, if I just had solid space works without the quotes, it would be, I am a solid guy at the top of my resume, and I works a lot, or work a lot. But either way, by putting in SolidWorks with the space and quotes right there, we'll return it just like that. If you want it to return like that, put it in quotes. And I think that one of the questions, or one of the comments rather, Cody had was that you see it hyphenated. I have as well. Now we've captured many ways of writing SolidWorks. We still have CAD. We still have material handling, different versions of it, or conveyor, or pallets, and a whole bunch of different ways of writing the robots that are replacing us. You think they'll ever replace recruiting,
No.
I hope not, because I love dealing and working with you guys. Why don't we give
It'll
this
be
one a
equipment
shot?
manufacturers that replace recruiters.
Terrible. I hate that. I'm going to go back to modify search, see exactly where we are. I know that we're within 50 miles at this point. I don't know if it's commutable or not. Why don't we try within 30 miles? Hopefully we get somebody else and get some fresh people. Okay. Got a few extra ones in there.
Yeah.
Not bad. But everybody, or every one of these guys, I think are pretty much on point. Here's Bryce again. So, I don't know, let's kind of review this Boolean, and again, the further extrapolation of that is we would just kind of keep going and keep identifying and keep refining our searches But in this particular case, I hope that you guys enjoyed this particular lesson. What will this return? Paula, our newest recruiter, explain it all up to me. Let's look at the very final Boolean, I think the most complex of them all. First one in parentheses, we got SolidWorks or SolidWorks or SolidWorks. What in the world will that do for us, Paul?
It will pull any form of the term SolidWorks.
That's right. You're on a roll here, so I'm gonna keep the spotlight on you, and then we have and StarCAD star. What in the world will that give us?
That will pull any form of the AutoCAD.
That's right. We've seen CAD with 2Ds. We've seen just CAD. We've seen AutoCAD. We've seen AutoSpace CAD. This right here solves all of that. And you're on a giant roll. Don't stop now. What does this right here do for us in this set of parentheses, Paul? Starting with well, I'm fat fingering it, but let's just say starting with material and going all the way over here. What will that do?
So between the parentheses, that's one thought. So it would pull up material handling, or convey in any form of the word, or palette, any form of the word.
Exactly. And the very final thought over here is, again, in parentheses, it is separated by the Boolean operator called OR. So when we have KUKA, OR, and the rest of it, finish it up for us. Paula, what will all that do then?
It would pull up anyone that has at least one of those in their description.
Exactly.
Not all.
So you could very easily have somebody that has SolidWorks, but none of those, has CAD, must have CAD. They could have material handling or palette or some sort of conveyor system experience, one of these robots, and that's the kind of person it'll bring back. I think our further Boolean explorations will be thoughts on engineer, and putting that in there, adding in the degree. As a matter of fact, I just remembered something. I'm going to go back here and modify this search one more time because I think we're going to get more. I could be wrong, but I feel like I do have the degree marked as a bachelor's degree. Now, it's a negative, and I'll tell you why. The reason it's a negative is because a lot of people all they do is just put their resume up on Monster. They don't fill out their most recent title. They don't click the box that says, I have a bachelor's degree. They don't bother to fill out the rest of these over here. So if they don't fill it out, they'll never show up. So if you want all of the results, and I guarantee you, I don't want to say guarantee, but I'm hoping we get more than 5, I think it was last time. I hope we do. Oh, we got
2
a few
more.
more.
Yeah.
And I promise you that one of those 2 probably does have a bachelor's degree. They just did not note that. So, and I promise you that's it. I've had it. I think this was a good lesson. And if you would like more information, consult with us on Boolean searches, some of the latest data mining techniques. I'm just going to jot this number down right here too. Cody, how long have you been in the trenches as a headhunting warrior for Davron, Cody?
About 3 years now.
3 years. So at this point, you definitely know what you're doing. Cody, what is your extension here at
37.
Davron? So Cody, extension 37. If you want some help on either identifying the right person, you're applying. If you are a candidate, please give Cody a call. He can either help you find a position or direct you to our outplacement service. Paula, what's your extension?
39.
Well, if anybody wants to talk to Paula, call her at extension 39 as well.
Yes.
So this is David Coreen. I'm the senior matchmaker. And on behalf of Cody Burdick, our senior recruiter, and our newest recruit, Paula Gomolla, signing off, and thank you so much for joining us on this Boolean search session.
See y'all next time.